Jim Miller's trying to find out what's going on backstage. He's been dispatched.
Tessa, please. Why did you just attack Jordan Grace? What was that all about?
Attack? I just reminded her and everybody else whose name this company was built on. Tessa Blanchard is back, and I'm taking what's mine.
Oh my God!
You know, and we all have our 15 minutes of fame, and I'd like to take a couple of my 15 minutes to talk about the rights and the wrongs in the world of professional wrestling.
And it is for the WWE Championship.
This match is for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship.
The World Heavyweight Championship.
The match and new NWA Heavyweight Champion.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time to support women's wrestling in America.
This match is for the AWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship.
Never let it be said that you cannot go home again. Hello, folks. This is your host, Mr. Green, and you are listening to the Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling podcast. What you heard at the top of the show was audio from TNA's Final Resolution pay-per-view, or I don't know if they refer to it as premium live event, but one Tessa Blanchard has made her return to the promotion. I guess, you know, what they say is true. Time heals all wounds. And maybe, you know, she's turned over a new leaf, so to speak. But, you know, that's stuff we will gradually roll into. It has really nothing to do with WoW. It's just women's news in general. Surprisingly, that, you know, I was a little bit shocked that she was able to show back up. But I guess overall I shouldn't be, because it's not like worse things haven't happened or bigger fallouts, I guess, between a promotion and a wrestler. But again, we'll get to all of that in a moment or two as we prepare to go into not only that, but the recap of WoW's most recent episode as of this recording. There's I guess I would tend to refer to them as maintenance shows, but we'll do the full on review for that as they take their march towards the Battle Royal, I guess, and see who is going to become the new. I'm pretty sure I know who's going to become the new, but anyway, for the general public, see who's going to become the new WoW champion. So, as we do that and move on, just a personal update. Surprisingly, I turned on my computer one day, and the drive that I was like, oh man, I lost this, my projects and this, that, and the other, just popped back up. I mean, I was amazed, thankful. Don't get me wrong. I was absolutely thankful, but amazed. I was like, wow, okay, that just showed back up. But this time, I have just gone ahead and got a nice 5 terabyte hard drive. All of that information is coming off of that thing, and then we're just going to do some computer upgrades over the course of the holidays in between downtime. So now I say all of that to say that it may affect, you know, releasing schedules, but it shouldn't stop it. It might be a little bit more sporadic, but it won't stop it from going up. So yeah, I don't know who put anything out into the universe that helped that, but yeah, I'm glad that the things that although I could have survived it, I'm glad that it is back and I can actually access these things again. So, woohoo! And let me tell you something: if you've never had to recover data off your drive, if that's not something that you've ever had to do, it is an absolute pain. Not in the work that gets done. It's a pain in that it is expensive as it could possibly be. I mean, I think on the low end you're looking like $400. That's on the low if you're lucky. Because I think the highest that I heard for having it shipped out and taken to a data recovery center, them reconstructing it, which I had to do once. It can get up there. It's like close to $1,500 to recover your drive. I mean, that money could be going to something else. So I don't know. So again, very thankful that actually has gotten itself. I don't want to say resolved. I don't want to jinx myself, but that I'm actually able to access it. I had this hard drive in my hand, and soon as this is done, it's being hooked in, and all data will be transferred into a new drive, so we can hopefully prolong the next time that we may have to deal with anything of this nature. So, I guess this will be the portion of the show where we got to get into our news, views, and updates. So let us do that now. Let's hit it. News, views, and updates. Here we go. All right. So starting off with what we just talked about, or what I opened up the show with, is Tessa Blanchard is going to be easily, I guess, the talk of the town right now. The first thing was, I want to say about a day ago, CMLL announced that the tag titles, the women's tag titles, let me be specific, were being vacated, which was the first bit of news that our wrestling media got the impression that, okay, she might be making a return to a U.S. promotion somewhere. The official announcement from CMLL: the women's CMLL Women's World Tag Team Championship has been vacated following the departure of Tessa Blanchard from the company. The title will be contested next year in a playoff. That is how they have it worded. It has also been listed. Now, this is not CMLL talking. This will be out of Diva Dirt. The tag titles have had a rough start. They were first introduced in September 2023, and they were first vacated in July 2024 after Stephanie Vacour signs with WWE. She was champions with Zexus. I think I'm pronouncing that right. They were won by Blanchard and, oh my God, Luvia. Okay, young lady, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I do apologize. They were won by Blanchard and Luvia in August and now have been vacated for a second time. Well, I'm not a big fan of that. But we have, championships just getting won and vacated and hiatuses and things like that. But I will say, in relation to CMLL, the one thing that they probably do have going for them that is not going to take them months and months and months and months and months worth of time to fill the spot. I do believe that they are going to turn it around and have new champions in short order. I mean, I know it's listed as the title will be contested next year, but and that sounds like a long way away when you phrase it that way, but next year at this point is literally 2 weeks away. So, take that with a grain of salt. And I do think that they're committed to having their championships being regarded and respected. So, the fact that Blanchard left does leave them in a precarious position. But I don't think it's anything that will bury or hurt the company. So hopefully they will bounce back. Now, on the return of Tessa Blanchard, apparently the first reports of her making a return to TNA Wrestling was yesterday, as of me recording, December 13th. And it was reported by Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful. The tweet, I don't know what they call it on X now, but the tweet that he put out was this: regarding Tessa Blanchard, there was a lot of talent that got word she was signed with TNA this week. When I asked higher ups and others, they claimed they didn't know. I'm told Jordan Grace had pushed back on her on working with her. Now that is from Sean Ross Sapp. Fightful did put out a report. I will try not to fumble over the words, so just bear with me. Here's their report. Tessa Blanchard appears to be poised to be headed back to TNA. Fightful Select had heard from various talent around the wrestling world on December 12th that believed Tessa Blanchard was en route back to TNA sooner than later. On December 13th, Wrestling Observer reported that was the plan. Fightful had spoken to talent in AEW, WWE, and TNA Thursday in disbelief that the company was moving in that direction. The news was kept away from the entire roster as of the time of the details emerging, and even many of the staff who are usually in the know. We're told this was done intentionally as there was fear of backlash internally. There are some people that remain with the company that have remained friends with Tessa, but one person in the know said that the hope is there's enough new talent to work with that haven't soured on her. Another source believes that I don't know why I just fumbled over that. All right, let me rewind it a little bit. Sorry. Another source believes that Blanchard will be on best behavior as this is a major opportunity. We're told that the plan has been in motion for at least the last 2 weeks and was a decision of a top person in Anthem, and they were warned against by others in the company. It is not the work of new Anthem president Carlos Silva, who just joined the company. The plan is to have Blanchard involved by next month, where she's slated to work against Jordynne Grace and win. We're told that Jordynne Grace had pushed back on working with Blanchard. The current plan is for Blanchard to come into the company as a heel. Tessa Blanchard left TNA in 2020 amid allegations of using racial slurs to La Rosa Negra and bullying numerous talent across wrestling. We've never heard a specific apology that was made, but she and La Rosa Negra posed for pictures together in recent years. The situation made her untouchable by WWE, who had interest prior to the allegations. There were a couple of people early on who pushed for her to join AEW in 2019 by some who are no longer with the company, but it was made clear that talent did not want her there at that time. Blanchard eventually joined WOW as the product that was originally planned to become a women's wrestling alternative became a Tessa Blanchard rehabilitation project. That didn't end up lasting long, and Blanchard left and ended up working in Mexico. We're also told that as of 2020, Blanchard was no longer working with the high-profile agent she had prior. One source believed TNA was motivated to bring in new talent as they expected to lose Speedball Mike Bailey, Jordynne Grace, and Josh Alexander. We've not been told if Blanchard is expected at the shows tonight. That was the report, again, posted by Fightful. And honestly, this surprising just because it happened. Like, oh my gosh, it just popped back up. But in the grand scheme of things, should this be surprising in the landscape of wrestling? No. I've said before, there is always going to be somebody willing to hire you, regardless of what you did. If you are fielded or listed or regarded as a talent of any major description, there's always going to be somebody that's willing to deal with you or work with you. Now, I would hope that the report that she was on her or going to be on her best behavior would be true, because the last thing that they want to do is have her come back in there and then create problems and have the world pointing a finger at them and saying, see, I told you. But that aside, as I just said, it's not all that surprising. I mean, particularly with independent promoters, they'll hire pretty much anybody if they had a name. Short of murder, they will still hire you. And sometimes I question that. Any allegations of stuff like sexual abuse, racial slurs, this, that, and the other, like I said, short of murder, most of them will not care. And they'll try it anyway. Somebody tried with Joey Ryan until he got called out on the poster. Somebody tried with that dude from SmackDown. I forget the what was his name? The guy was like, all he need is 2 fists and a fighting chance or whatever. His name wasn't important enough for me to have memorized, but yeah, I mean, the guy was hitting on like underage girls and stuff like that. Ellsworth. James Ellsworth. Him. Somebody was perfectly willing to hire him. You know? There's always going to be somebody that's willing to do that. So her being there is not some sort of surprise in that regard. Dutch Mantel said it best as it related to the territories. And I'm paraphrasing when I say this. It's like, you could get upset or have problems or falling out with your promoter and like screw you, and that person will be like, well, screw you too, and you leave, and then you could just kind of do the other territories and whatnot. But is that eventually it comes back around because people rotate in and out all the time, and when their talent pool starts to dry up, they may be a little bit more forgiving about you, and then and you might be a little bit more forgiving about that once you go someplace and other locations, other territories, other promotions aren't what you wanted them to be, and you like this other place better. And then so you might meet in the middle. Promoter may need you because they need to pad out their roster. You might, the talent might be willing to go back because that might have been the best place that I've been, or they treated me like a star, whereas everybody else just kind of had me floating around. Things like that. And this seems like one of those situations where if what Spiteful has just reported here at the bottom was true, the departure of Mike Bailey and Jordan Grace and Josh Alexander, and if that is true, then yeah, I can see where they might be like, well, look, we need some people in there. But more importantly than that, the thing that I personally believe it kind of leans on is that, well, 2 things. One, I believe somebody probably wanted to utilize the fact that she does have a name, regardless of good, bad, or indifferent. Tessa Blanchard's name does have value to some degree because it would get people talking, as evident by when she popped up at the pay-per-view, which I should have went to. It's here in Atlanta. I got other things to pay for. I can't be buying no ticket to go to this pay-per-view right now. Anyway, so there's that. There's the value of her name, but there's also Slamovich probably needs a dragon to slay. Her being Blanchard, going over on Jordan Grace, if that does happen as reported in this particular statement. If that does happen, it wouldn't be overly surprising because I think that Jordan looks like she was putting people over on the way out anyway. She'd already put over Slamovich, twice. She put over Tasha Steelz so that she could become the #1 contender. I don't know, who did she work last night? I don't know the result of that. I didn't watch it. Well, at least I haven't watched it yet. But if she's going in and she's having a match with Blanchard at this point, it wouldn't shock me if Grace puts her over, whether she wanted to do it or not. And that would be a perfect setup for, like I said, going into Slamovich. Because Slamovich would need to win. They haven't. She hasn't been built up enough yet, in my view. She'll probably get there, but she hasn't been built up enough yet. So that could be the path. I don't know. But I will say one thing that is for certain. If I am TNA management, I'm keeping her as far away from that World's Heavyweight title as I could possibly do. I was like, that's done. You're back. You should be happy that you're back. That's it. Knockouts Championship, Knockouts Tag Championship. You're in this division. Not blending you over with the guys anymore. That's done. We tried that experiment. It failed. We are finished with that. We're moving on. Not having you going here and getting put over on Moose or Nick Nemeth and like, no, we're not doing that. Or Joe Hendry. Let's just go ahead and try to make this Knockouts division the premier division that we can make it. We did this already. We're done with that. So there we have it. That would be my statement on it. But the last component to that is that she did show up at TNA's Final Resolution, as stated here in Atlanta, Georgia, at Center Stage. I should have went, but like I said, I had other things to pay for, so, it is what it is. So what you heard at the beginning was audio of Gia Miller, their backstage interviewer, going to talk to Tessa Blanchard after attacking Jordynne Grace. And the match was with Jordynne Grace and Rosemary. And her going up on Rosemary is not, that wouldn't be shocking to me. But so we had that, and then Blanchard shows up. She shows up in black pants, and sneakers, and skull mask, and a big puffy coat. So you could probably surmise that it was a female getting into the ring. You just wouldn't have known who based on as much clothing as she was wearing. But then she pulls that off in the ring and unveils herself to be none other than the diamond of professional wrestling, Tessa Blanchard. And so I guess we now have a match on the horizon. The reports was obviously before this took place. But we look like we're heading towards Blanchard versus Grace. And you see that's a mass person attack that didn't carry on for months. That is why TNA is just subpar. If they had any kind of wits about them, they'd have did what WoW did. They'd have had Tessa Blanchard attack them, leave, not show who she was at all, not be brought up for 2 or 3 months, and then they'll just say, well, Tessa Blanchard did that. Well, you're fired. And then that would be it. That would be the payoff. And everybody would rejoice because this person that you didn't know who was in the company anyway would just be fired off camera just because. See, that's how you make money right there. That right there, that is money. Right. Anyhow. Ah, boy. Sometimes. Anyway, the finals for the WWE Women's United States Championship is around the corner. Tonight, in fact, as I am recording this. Saturday night's main event. And it looks like it has come down to Chelsea Green and Meechin, the former Mia Yim. These two will, one of them at least, will walk out as the United States Women's Champion. I really wish they had got some other people to design this belt. I mean, now this is just a side note, and that's just me, but I'm happy that they have this, but good Lord, man, every belt does not have to just look completely the same from one gender to the next. I understand that they're trying to maintain the consistency of the look, the consistency of the brand, but good grief, man. I mean, it's not going to hurt to have a different championship look every once in a while. It's like once the one is decided, then the women's belt has to look exactly the same as that. World Championship look exactly the same as the men's World Championship. Intercontinentals exactly the same. WWE exactly the same. United States exactly the same. I mean, it is not going to make the division just blow up in a puff of smoke if they don't utilize some uniqueness every once in a while. But, again, what do I know? I'm sure they will not be listening to me. There is reports, there are, proper grammar, there are reports that indicate that Charlotte Flair's return is imminent. She had been gone for months with a serious knee injury. I think it's been, pushing an entire year at this point. Sources indicate that Charlotte Flair's return is imminent, with the possibility of it happening as soon as this weekend on NBC. We are told creative was tasked earlier this week with structuring the presentation of her return. So I wonder what they would do with Charlotte Flair if she shows back up this weekend. She's easily going to be slotted into a top position and be a top name and everything. And by and large, she usually goes over on most anybody that she would meet. But their roster is pretty well padded at this point. I mean, it is loaded, male and female. And then you have some people who are still trying to work themselves into a position of prominence on the women's side as well. Having a Charlotte Flair there will probably halt some of that, or at least take the potential shine off of some new people. But she is a star. I mean, there's no denying that. Charlotte Flair is a star. And she pops back up on WWE's TV, she will be treated as such. So it is an unfortunate reality that some of those young ladies in that organization may be dealing with. But Charlotte popping back up there is likely to shuffle the roster around a bit. Who will benefit from that and who won't is another story. If Ripley and Flair get back in this thing again, which I'm sure that is inevitable, Rhea needs to go over on Charlotte. She needs to get that win. Now, personally, I still think Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair is the rivalry that I like. But Flair and Ripley is a money match also. Notice I say money. Match that people will actually tune in to watch. A match that announced people would be excited to see and hear. It's about making people stars. Just as a side note, it's about making people stars. Even if just in your own universe, getting them over. But I don't want to get off on that rant because that would just steer me off in the wrong direction and whatnot. Last thing, and I'm not going to go deep into it. We've seen Toni Storm make her return. And not just Toni Storm, like Rockstar Toni Storm, as they call her. The timeless Toni Storm version seems to have been retired. Have they ever talked about how or why she became this lunatic that believed herself to be? Damn it. Ugh, I don't know what that was. I've got my phlegm caught up to. Well, nothing a good shot of whiskey won't fix. Hold on a second. There we go. All right. Back to what I was saying. Did they ever explain that? That's what I was getting at. I was like, admittedly, I do not watch AEW wrestling as often as anything else anymore. It started to lose its luster for me, and it just seemed like just a crap show over there. So I'll check out a match here and there, but that's all it seems largely dependent on. Like, let's crank out some matches. And Toni Storm was entertaining, and it is entertaining, but I don't know if they've ever explained why she got to this point and why she just suddenly just came back. I mean, I guess her announcement, was it about a month ago? I guess that would be the retirement of the timeless Toni Storm identity. Because she did say that, she, as timeless Toni Storm, said this, that she is retiring from wrestling. So I guess you could say that personality retired, if anything. And I'm sure that's probably the logic that they had, that she just, she just meant this. But did they ever say that she has like multiple personalities or something like that, or whatever the case may be? I don't know. Anyhow, that is a issue for another episode and another day. A couple of days ago, I guess I missed the marking point that Liv Morgan has made 200 days as the Women's World Champion. If you'd have told me about a year ago that Liv Morgan would be sitting on top of the women's division as the Women's World Champion, I'd have like, ha ha ha. There's no way that that little Barbie doll will ever be on top of the division. But you know, she apparently is hanging in there. She's still cooking. Give her credit where it's due. I mean, she has turned her fortunes. I mean, not like she was in a bad spot, but she has turned her fortunes around. So hey. And it is also reported that Natalya is favored to win the Intercontinental Championship. I also would not have believed that, but I would like to see her do it. I would like to see her do it. She, if for no other reason, even if she doesn't get like a super long reign or something like that, if for no other reason that she's been there for a long period of time, she's been a former Divas champion, tag team champion. Did she win? I think she got the SmackDown Women's Championship at some point. So yeah, I mean, her having the Intercontinental Championship and being the first one to have it would somewhat solidify. She's already solid in the company, but solidify her spot in the company's history, if nothing else. So, WrestleVotes reported the following. I did hear some feedback from sentiments that were similar from sources that said they would like it to be Natalya as well. Now that doesn't mean it's going to be her, but there's some favoritism maybe that would like to see her win the Intercontinental Championship. Yeah, I would fall into that. I would go with that. I would believe, or I would want. Not believe. I would want her to win that championship for the reasons that I just stated. Okay, so I think that covers a good chunk of some news, views, and updates that's going on right now. In my little sponsorship spot that's about to follow me speaking, you will see some video. Well, you'll see some photos of an upcoming event. I have nothing to do with the event. I don't gain anything off of this. I put it there because I wanted to support the event. It's all women's event that's going on in Texas, and it is slated for Friday, January the 31st, and it will also have persons that are part of WoW, although they're not going to be there as their WoW persona. Most notably, you know her as BK Rhythm. We all know her as Killer Kate. She will be part of the Queen's Gambit. I think that is the name of the event. Again, Friday, January 31st. What city is this? I'm in Hamilton, Texas, I think. Is that it? I'm having a hard time seeing that because I'm on my editing software. I'm not looking at the actual picture, if that makes sense. But in any case, it would be nice to, and I saw it being posted from several talents, and I thought, let me just go ahead and put that on there. That's my little add-on or try to help and whatnot. And when I found out after I did it, there is another WoW connection on that show, surprisingly, because I hadn't heard or seen anything about these people from the moment they left WoW to now. The Tonga twins are slated to be there as well. How about that? I mean, I'm not even sure if they've wrestled since they left WoW. I hadn't heard anything from or about them. But as far as I know, as the pictures have gone up, they will be a part of the Queen's Gambit. And I am assuming that they are most likely going to be paired off against Nova Phoenix and Morgan Mercy in a tag team match. But I'm going to keep my eyes open for it and see if there's any other information that pops up, because I'm interested in the show. In fact, if I had the time and money, I'd fly out there and go watch it. But I don't, so it'll have to be streaming for me somewhere. All right, so that being said and that being covered, let us move on and get ready for the episode review. So we'll hit our break, and when we come back, it's review time.
Professional wrestling.
You serious?
We are back. You know I've updated people as to the how and the why I generally get to watch WoW as often as I do. For some of you that are just entering the room, is because I'm at a job that we monitor these stations, and WoW is part of the station lineups that I watch, that I cover. And so because of that, I see WoW on a week-to-week basis. But it also means that I have several coworkers who see WoW on a week-to-week basis. If you've listened before, you know that there's been a couple of them that have grown to accept it. There's one in particular, and for the benefit of this, we'll call him the Maestro. Maestro has gotten to where he finds a problem in anything that they do, no matter what they do. And I've tried to get him down. I was like, no, Maestro, it's not that. It's fine. She didn't mess up. No, that's how that's supposed to look. No, she did fine. And as much as I can give WoW crap here, storyline wise, angles, things like that, I don't try to go and nitpick at matches. I don't try to. I say what I see and stuff like that, but that's not the major issue there, unless they're just doing something that is grossly wrong or there's some small thing that I really like, because I find that there are talents there that will do little things that are like, man, that is so smooth how she did that, or whatever the case may be. But Maestro, anything, everything, all of it, wrong. That's wrong. Actually, no, she messed up. They don't do that. It's just, I honestly don't know what to say. I used the term or the phrase several months ago when he started. I was like, I think I created a monster. Because now he's actively looking for a problem, and I just cannot get him out of it. It's like, oh my God. So I just stopped. On the other side of that spectrum, I brought this young lady up, and we called her Miss New Hire. Miss New Hire loves everything. It's like, why? This is so weird. Like, I got one end where it just dislikes everything or thinks everything is a screw up, and the other one just loves it all. And a lot of the people that have begun to watch WoW, like I said, it's largely because I am there. And either the people that have known me for a while already knew that I had something in some participation in wrestling to some degree, or if they're a new person that's in the room and they find out. Like, they'll either ask me or they ask somebody else and they'll tell them and blah, blah, blah. And because that is there, then the show becomes interesting to them. It's like, oh, it like becomes this linchpin of conversation on Saturday and Sundays because that's its air dates and it's fresh. So when they start doing that, they would normally see me watching fairly intently and taking notes. I say all of that to say now is that I don't know why, but for whatever reasons, they have really begun like wanting to have these full-on conversations. While I'm writing, I was like, I can't write and then talk to you about this in full. I don't know. But yeah, I know they don't mean anything by that, but if you could create a situation where there was a situation like me in every household where they aired WoW, they would probably be ranking at 1 million people by now. Because like I said, I am pretty much the only reason that the persons that are in there that watch it, because I'm in that room. And it just tickles me sometimes because one of them watches it actively looking for something to dislike. Another one watches it for, how can I put that, more physical reasons. I got another one that is, oh yeah, by the way, Valentina Diamante has an admirer in that room. So, it just goes down the line. Like there's a new admirer to a new person every couple of weeks. Like, oh man, who is that? Do you know her? Like, no, I don't know her. I don't know everybody on that goddamn roster. I'm sorry. And even if I did, like, they across the world or the country at least. So I don't know what to tell you, bro. Yeah, and like I said, the newest addition is somebody that loves everything. And the reason I bring that up, well, the other reason I bring it up, because I was asked, as I was writing notes, Miss New Hire decided that she wanted to do the same. I don't know if I influenced that or not. She wanted to write her versions of the notes to the show and gave me said notes to use. Now, I'm going to read her notes because it was sweet of her, and I could see that she genuinely enjoys it and all that. So, and bear in mind, her notes are A, very short. B, she is not a wrestling fan. She's not participated in it. She's pretty new to it. And is WoW, I want to say WoW, if it's not the first wrestling thing that she's aware of is definitely the first one that she's watched on a regular basis. Okay, so bear that in mind. And she is not judging this show based on continuity and things like that. All she is seeing is the match. That's it. That's all she is seeing when she watches. She just sees the match. Everything else she doesn't pay a lick of attention to. And I don't say that to be having insulting statement towards Miss New Hire. But no, she doesn't pay attention to that because it doesn't capture imagination, I guess. I don't know. This is the same person that I said did not know who was the heel and the baby faces in the 6-person tag. So this is all of it. This is all a blank slate to her. And the only thing that gives her any inclination as to who is good or bad, I don't use terms like heel and babyface around her, but the only thing that gives her any inclination is that is either me or if the person in the ring does actions that she can easily understand. Which is why I like talking to her about it, because now that she's gotten into it, because I want to know, did this information come across well to somebody who's not familiar with it? As Denzel Washington said in Philadelphia, explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. And that's what it is. It's like, explain this as if, you're talking to a 5-year-old. So before I go into my personal notes, I'm going to read hers. Like I said, they're short, and this is her view of it only, not mine. I will go into my stuff afterwards. So she wrote for all 4 matches: Fury versus Santana Garrett, SIren versus Tormenta, Gigi versus HollySwag. She wrote something for top. I forgot about what she said about top tier. She wrote something for the top tier segment. Then she wrote for Penelope Pig and Roxxy Fair. So let me read this. 1. Fury versus Santana Garrett. Fury looks cool, but Santana has a certain aesthetic / look that makes me kind of want her to win. Fury looks like a member of Sting. I don't know if she meant the person Sting or the band that he was part of back in the day. Anyway, Santana Garrett has cool moves. Santana also mad flexible. Santana rightfully won the match. Great job. Number 2. SIren the Voodoo Doll versus Tormenta. Tormenta came out swinging. Tormenta has great moves. SIren needs more hand-eye coordination. Tormenta's plunge / suicide dive was amazing. Tormenta rightfully won. Great job. 3. Gigi Gianni versus HollySwag. Gigi is starting off great. Gigi has the upper hand. Holly has cheap shots. Gigi is dominating the round. I'm sure she meant the match. I'm cutting in right here because she's referring to the match as a round. So just, again, bear with her. Gigi has great moves. Holly wins again with the rocks in a sock. Spicy win. 4. Top tier. Not sure what that talking montage was about. I was still confused. And like I said, if the matches she's fine with, but that, like, if there was no point being delivered by that speech, it meant nothing to her. She's like, I don't know what that was about. It was just her up there talking just to talk, as far as she was concerned. Now, I also feel like I need to say this because of how she wrote. She wrote very shorthand. Like, I wish I should have took a picture of these. Like, if you've seen, I've posted notes that I've written. I write on full out sheets of paper. 2 and 3 pages worth of that. At the job, I just go, right? So my notes are a little bit more detailed than hers. She gave me a piece of paper basically about the a quarter of the size of an average piece of print paper. So I know it sounds elementary or very short, but it's because she wrote very shorthand. So I don't want anybody to think that, man, what is she, like 5? No, she just wrote very shorthand. Okay, so the last thing, Penelope Pink versus Roxxy Fierce. Roxxy has strong moves. Roxxy is dominating the match. Penelope Pink, she just wrote PP, so to get around that, I'm just letting you know. Anyway, Penelope Pink has a strong knee. Penelope Pink does not have better moves than Roxxy, but Penelope Pink is catching Roxxy with cheap moves. The superplex took them both out. Roxxy has great moves. Roxxy is fighting hard. Unbelievable. Roxxy was going to win, but Lana cheated and Penelope Pink hit Roxxy with a reverse move and ended it there. The win was stolen. Penelope Pink won the match. Those were the notes of Miss New Hire. And look, I appreciate it. She got so into just participating. So I was like, all right, well, hey, sure. No worries. Give me what you got. I promise I will read them on the air. And so we have. So she may send a note. I don't know. This depends. We will see. And for those that are questioning, the reason that she has names for certain moves is because she would ask, like, hey, what was that thing that she just did where she just jumped out of the ring? I was like, oh, you mean that suicide dive? Okay, right. So, yeah. It's not that she actually knows the names of those things. It's just that her station sits next to mine and she could ask me and then I would tell her. So, but there we go. But again, if you noticed, all of that was built off of what she saw in the match, bell to bell. Almost none of it is built around segments or the promo or before or after the promo segment. You notice none of that is in there. She is only looking at the match in and of itself. Now, I am going to be interested in seeing how long this will last for her. Like, if she is only in it for the matches, will it maintain her interest long term? And another thing is, like, if I could give you any indication as to how new she is, so you can kind of temper how you feel about her opinion, she is still not fully aware of who is what, or how does the angles go, or storylines, and she's not fully aware of that. Some people she'll get confused. Some things she'll look at as like, didn't they have this match last week? I was like, no, they didn't have the match last week. Are you sure? Like, no, they didn't have the match last week. Is that Holly girl? No, that's not Holly. That's Abilene. You know, it'd be things like that. The Beast is wrestling tonight. I thought she retired. No, that's not the Beast. That's Roxxy. It'll be moments like those. So I mentioned that to say this. It is a very novice view that she has towards it. And I certainly would never discount the opinions of the match because it entertained her. She clearly likes certain looks of people that have an appeal towards her and things like that. But she hasn't invested enough in the show to really follow it beat for beat. So just, like I said, keep that in mind in that version of the review. Now, my version of the review, I go through everything. Top to bottom, what I was doing that day, what I ate, everything. In fact, I couldn't even watch it, the air date, because CBS was airing Big Ten football. Oregon versus Penn State. Oregon won, by the way. And because that was on, the adjacent stations could not go looking at WOW because the money is on the football game. So WOW had to take a back seat that particular night. And, just as a personal side note, I only thought about that because I just said it was on CBS and whatnot. There are still a few people that work for WOW apparently that believe that they are airing on CBS. Stop it. Please just stop. I know it sounds better to say that I air on CBS. The WOW airs on CBS. But that is not completely accurate. WOW does not air on CBS proper. It is not on their schedule for broadcast. That either being in the mornings where they largely do morning news or overnight news, evening news, things like that. Or in prime time where it's NCIS or FBI's Blue Bloods just finished up. The Neighborhood, Papa's House, the Georgia and Mandy's First Wedding, Ghost, blah, 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 blah. Those are CBS shows. Those are CBS proper shows. What WOW has, I cannot say for certain that somewhere across the country that WOW does not air on a CBS station. I can't say that because it's in syndication. It's a first-run syndicated show. And whereas it may air on a CBS station, it certainly airs on CBS affiliated stations, absolutely. But whereas it might air on a CBS station, it doesn't air in their CBS proper lineup. And when you tell people that, well, I'm on CBS, you're giving the wrong impression. You'll do better to just say, go to our website and check for where it's airing in your area. It's got a little search button or whatever the case may be. Go, and if nothing else, it helps with the website over. But you do better just to say, go to our website and put in your zip code and find out where it's airing in your location. Just telling people, I air on CBS. No, you do not. You do not air on CBS. Sorry. That has grown into being a pet peeve of mine. Probably because I have to deal with CBS programming on a night-to-night basis. But no, you do not air on CBS. Okay? So let's get past that. Also, for whatever management, inform your people where you're airing at. I mean, why would they even think that if they weren't told or led to believe or something? Be clear. We're in syndication. I mean, for goodness sake, the ring announcer, before she started airing this season, put on her Instagram that we're on Access TV. Now, once I made a comment about it, I think that post got removed, or at least it got edited. But why did she even get on anybody's social media talking about Access, a channel that WOW has not been on since being canceled off of that channel 5 years ago, or whatever it was? A little information goes a long way. Inform your people. That's all I'm saying. So let us go into the program. The review begins now. This was WOW episode 313, season 3, episode 13 for them. Title, All Eyes on Gold. Air date, December 7th. The chronological number, 117. The show opens up with Jesse Jones and Big Rig Betty coming out as the new WOW Tag Team Champions. It opens with a recap of a video package of them and the victory. Then they come out. It was a nice video package. We very rarely have anything to say about the production of how it's edited and how they put those together. The editors do a good job on the show. by and large, with the exception of a couple of mishaps here or there. I mean, but you're human. Those things will happen. So overall, video package looks good. They look good as tag team champions. One of the reasons being is that they're uniformed now. Big Rig has changed her outfit to fit Jesse Jones's outfit, and she looks 1,000 times less like a cartoon character now than what she did as Big Rig Betty. So that is a plus in my book. I don't know why they still list her as having Swag's towing. Like, what is that graphic there for? I would think that was a mistake, if anything. But anyhow, that's neither here nor there. Not a big deal. It starts over Jones cutting a promo referring to the events that only longtime viewers would ever know anything about. And I love Jesse Jones's promos. I just don't know if the start of this was relevant to anything. She's always been very good when she's on the mic, but she's referencing referencing a team that doesn't exist there anymore and out of wrestling altogether. So it doesn't, it's nothing really to be gained off of them, the Dixie Darlings. Their only bit of wrestling experience exists in WoW. It's not really ever acknowledged. Like, that season that she's talking about gets acknowledged when it's convenient. But it's not really acknowledged. Like the Tessa Blanchard victory over Beast. They never explained how the Beast got the title back. She just showed up with it. But this gets acknowledged because Jesse's there, I guess. I don't know. And that she won, theoretically, the tag team titles as part of a 3-person group with the Dixie Darlings. Hated that name too. Now, to be fair, Jesse Jones did bring it up when the show returned. What was that, season 1, I think? And I don't really know what to make of this one in particular. The only thing that gets it over is that is her. Because she starts with, see, I told you I was going to win this title back that you stripped from me, and look at here, it's right back where it belongs. In fairness to her, it's a heel promo. I mean, it's coming from a babyface that hadn't changed how she operated. So, in that regard, it would make sense. It's like a heel promo coming out of a babyface's mouth. And then she gives the microphone to Big Rig so she can talk. She's like, I know y'all wondering what I feel about Lil Swag turned it back on me, but me and Jessica go back a long ways before that. Her promo feels like it was cut. I don't know if that's the case, but her promo just, it feels like there was information in there that just got cut out. And I don't know if that's the case or not. But it feels as dwindled down and basic a promo as it could be. Is like, say something about HollySwag, say something about our friendship, say something about the title. And that's more or less what she did. She went through those things. What y'all think I feel about her? Me and Jesse known each other longer than she was even thought of. And now I'm the tag team champion again. With somebody, Jesse Jones said somebody had to put in the work with her. So, and maybe it's because I know that WoW will do that with their promos sometimes. They'll edit it down. And that doesn't always help. Some of those promos, although long, may need to breathe. Now, I don't know for a fact whether Big Rig's promo was cut, edited, or anything of the sort. Or Jesse Jones's promo, for that matter. It just felt that way to me with Big Rig specifically. But I fully accept if I'm wrong about that. So as they're talking, Lana Star and the Fab Floor come out to put over the team. Jesse responds to, with Lana. She's basically the back and forth here, Lana and Jesse. So Lana, essentially says, I know I'm paraphrasing now. Don't get too comfortable with the belts. They're going to go back to Miami Sweet Heat eventually. They'll get the 5-time, but that'll happen after Penelope Pink has her qualifying match to go to the Battle Royal, blah, blah, blah. Jessie has a nice comeback for Lana. It was like Penelope Pink's beating everybody. And Jessie, she speaks up. It's like, not me. she hadn't beaten me. Which, not completely true, but Jessie had the last win. But that, I don't even know how much of that I would even bring back up, considering that both of them were in number one contender matches that didn't do anything. Like, why is Penelope Pink even in a match at all to qualify for anything? She already won. She already won the number one contenders match. She shouldn't be in it. For that matter, neither should the Classmaster. If anything, those two should have faced off to see who the true number one contender is. Or what would be more sensible, they shouldn't have to qualify for anything. Just put them in the match. They already won. So I don't know. We don't want to go into all of that. So anyhow, Lana talks about how Penelope's going to win. Jessie has her response, and then they cue up Jesse Jones's Sweet Home Alabama Kentucky generic brand music, that is, and they play him out. And it ain't been 2 weeks, and we're already at the point where the internet's talking about HollySwag being a Trojan horse. What? Already? I just used the term. Sometimes some things need time to breathe, and maybe they will. Maybe this will just be a fly-by-night comment. I'm afraid it's not, but maybe it's just something that they said. But why are we even suggesting that now? Why are we even suggesting that Holly is somehow a Trojan horse, as they called it, infiltrated the Fabulous Four? It's too soon. I mean, how do you feel bad for that? I mean, you can feel bad for people with a lot of things, but I mean, would you feel bad for me for the girlfriend that I just met at the club 2 weeks ago that broke my heart? Or would you be feeling bad for me of losing a 20-year divorce or something like that? Which one would you pick? So and that's the other thing. McClain says, this is all the internet's talking about. What internet are you on? Because I don't know if I exist on that one. I mean, is there a separate internet that exists beyond the ones that we all use? I haven't seen anybody or anywhere talk about anything close to, I bet you HollySwag is a Trojan horse. I'm not sure if many people care. Because again, why would you? I mean, it's been 2 weeks. But I don't know. I don't know. I just wrote down how and why. Because in order for her to be a Trojan horse, that the rocks can't be rocks. That's the first thing. Until it's supposed to be rocks when it's conveniently necessary. So what did Ashley Blaze just get to be a sacrificial lamb and get hit in the head with? It's like, well, somebody had to take this. Or was it just a beanbag and she was in on it all the time? I don't know. But that is what they start off with. The internet's talking about HollySwag being a Trojan horse. And then the episode pretty much somewhat supports that theory. I'm not happy about that either, but we'll move on. Tormenta cuts a promo that is subtitled about her winning the championship. And She actually puts the title over in this pro. Why has nobody else done this? I don't know if I've heard anybody there say that the Wild Championship is the most important title in women's wrestling. Tormenta did it in this particular promo, but I don't know if anyone has said that at all. But she puts the title over, and that she would like to wear it around her waist, basically. I wrote Tormenta had been chasing this title for 3 years now. I mean, she's gotten just match after match after match for that thing. It's amazing to me how she can lose and lose and lose, and then when she goes babyface, then it's just, I win now. Against the same people I lost against repeatedly, except for the Beast. She still had to put the Beast over. So that's some way for somebody to get some shine off of that undefeated streak. But no, Tormenta had chased this for a while. I am judging off the results of the Vegas show. I'm pretty sure that she's a shoe-in at this point. And she probably, there's nothing wrong with having Tormenta be there, go for the title, or be the champion. None of those things. I just wish that she had gotten the chance throughout this show to earn some other level of credibility to put her here. That's all. And she has some really fun matches. I've enjoyed the times that I've seen them. Is that she was just jobbed out so badly when she walked in there under Sofia Lopez. And then the only credible thing that would be mentioned about her was this fantasy Mexican championship that she had, because they never showed the belt, never showed a picture of her with the belt. They never showed or had her mention it, never wore it out there. I mean, so it just sounded like a very vague, generic thing as an effort to give her something. Tormenta's the Mexican champion. I was like, well, it's been 3 years later. She's still the Mexican champion, and why are we still leaning on this? So for that alone, I mean, I'm glad that she's doing something else. And hopefully they won't have to keep going back to that like she just is perennially the Mexican champion over a promotion that we never heard of or was told about or seen a belt for or seen any matches from. Anyhow, the first match, Fury versus Santana Garrett. Before I even begin, because my first note here, this match was never really in doubt, regardless of Santana Garrett's losing streak. That was the first thing I wrote. I wanted to stop because I wrote that before I even thought about the rest of the show. Nothing on this show was ever in doubt, at least not for me. There's not a single match that came up the entirety of this episode that I was in doubt of at all, as far as who was going to win and who wasn't. The matches, again, fine. No problems with any of them. But they seem very clear-cut when you laying the two of them, the competitors across from each other. Santana Garrett and Fury. Tormenta and SIren. HollySwag and Gigi Gianni. Roxxy and Penelope Pink. None of those matches had a chance that it was not going to be the person that won here tonight. None of them. So, fine episode. But like I said, none of these matches were ever really in doubt as far as I was concerned. Also, as a side note, have you been to the WoW website lately? I mean, I know that this is a random thing. I admit that. But have you been to the WoW website lately? All right. So if you have, I just have one question, just one, about how do they line their persons up on this roster? Like, it doesn't really seem to be, other than it's alphabetical. I get that, but there seems not to be a real rhyme or reason between who is listed as a team and who is listed singularly. Sometimes they have people that just aren't there anymore. Like, I'm not even sure Sierra Breeze should be on their banner at the top saying active roster. She's not there. That should be updated. But take the All-American Girls, for instance, which is part of the reason why I'm thinking about it. But take the All-American Girls, for instance. Santana, Garrett, and Americana comprise the All-American Girls on this show, but they are not shown as a tag team in the roster. However, Top Tier is shown as a faction, but each member of Top Tier also has a individual profile. Candy Crush, Glory Glitter, Coach Campanelli. BK Rhythm and Gigi Gianni are not listed as a team at all. They are both listed separately. Same thing with Spring Break 24/7. They are listed as a team, but not listed separate. Dojo Defenders, same thing. But then you have Roxxy and Foxy Fierce, the Fierce Sisters, and they're listed separately. Chella and Holiday, also listed separately. I mean, I guess you could make an argument for them, but they've largely been a tag team throughout the bulk of the time on the show in the recent months. And even if you didn't want to use them as a reference point, Animal Instinct, Collins and Katarina, they're not listed as a team. They're listed separately. And I don't know. This is nothing, against the show. I'm just saying, is it me? It didn't seem to make a lot of sense in my view. Also, they've already spoiled their Earth Warriors tag team on their roster page by listing Sprout Greens and goddamn Scout Parker and Sprout. I was already rooting for Scout to win me over, but this is taking like 20 steps backwards. The environmentalists, Scout Parker and Sprout Greens. God damn it! I should have known they was gonna put her with Sprout Greens. I should have known. If she can get this thing over, I will give all praise to Scout Parker. If she can get that character and the team over, praise be to Scout Parker. Anyway, all right. I don't know why I just went off into that, but back to the match. So McLean and Zane, they talk about the Cauliflower Alley Club. That's probably why they just said CAC. Because I couldn't even get it out. I can barely talk. Even if they didn't mention it by name. They did talk about events. I'm assuming that was a couple of months ago as it was recorded in September. So maybe it took place in September or August or something like that. The commentator said that the class match is already in the Battle Royal. I was like, is she? Because he said that as the viewer, I should know that already. And when they had it wasn't brackets, but they had a posting of the persons that were in it already. I didn't see the class match's name in there. I didn't see her face on it either. But they also had it removed, so I don't know. McLean talks about retrieving the belt from the Beast. These were all the important things that were going on during the match, by the way. Now, the match is enjoyable. I have nothing against either lady, Santana Garrett or Fury. But the truth of this show, it is a maintenance show. This is just a content-filling show. The matches are fine, but there's largely no angles here. And as I said, most of this, you would know who's doing what. So whereas that may be the case. Sure, you can watch it and just kind of like, all right, I enjoyed the matches for the matches. But if you are long-term looking at this, I don't think any of these matches are in doubt just because how they position certain people. Which reminds me, I guess Fury just abandoned, took her shot at getting singles gold, even though she was mentioned as wanting tag team gold again at the beginning of the season. And that was after she was also mentioned for going back into singles because she won the singles gold. So consistency. Anyhow, McLean talks about retrieving the belt from the Beast. And that he had a good sit-down talk with her and talking about life and whatever the I don't know. I have to bleep that out. I just thought to myself, I said, like, oh, okay, so the Beast, and I know I'm thinking about things that probably never even crossed their mind in production or whatnot, but I just can't help it sometimes. So the Beast, who took the time and effort to shoot a video and not email it like a normal person. I am going to download this off of my phone or recording device onto a computer so I can stick it onto a flash drive, take that flash drive, either mail it or drive it myself to Wild headquarters during the show, have this thing dropped off at the main event. And while I'm doing that, for this tiny device that can fit in the palm of my hand, I'm not going to worry about shipping back the belt because even though I retired, I don't want to give this up right away. I have to make them drive to me and get it. That sound about right? None of that had anything to do with this match, by the way. So, just in fairness to Garrett and Fury, none of that rant had anything to do with the match. The match, I cannot say it enough. The match is fine, but it wasn't anything that stood out to me in terms of this is a high point of something to talk about in there because I knew going into this like Fury's not going to win this. She's a good wrestler, but WoW has already proven to me that they have no current direction for her. She's just aimless. Same thing with Sylvia Sanchez. She's just aimless. There's nothing that either one of them are doing or involved in. It never took them as any sort of serious contender towards a tag team championship in the first place. So, I certainly don't take her as a serious contender for the Wild Championship because she hasn't been presented as such. So, whereas moves, execution, how it ran, all of that stuff was fine. I was more interested in the things that were going on around it rather than the match itself. But Fury wins with a super kick. That is the ultimate thing here. She wins with a super kick. I don't know if the super kick is her strongest move. It looked fine, especially for the angle that they had it. And she, it does well. I only say that because I don't know if it looks like it would knock her opponent out necessarily. Like it did. Who would I compare it to? Chris Adams? Is that, the innovator of the super. Like he did a phenomenal super. That thing just looked like it could take your head off. Gentleman Chris Adams. And it would look like it would finish off a match, certainly. And so I'm not saying that to insult the super kick of Garrett. I think I preferred her handstand to the moonsault deal. But that's just me. So and I'm not a fan of the aerial shot that Wild's using. I mean, every once in a while it's good, but it feels like it's happening a bit much now. So yeah. after the match, there's an interview with McLean. He's fine, but I still say he wears too many hats. He wears too many hats. Does not need to be the guy that goes in and does the interviews too. Matchmaker, lead commentator, interviewer. You know, that's it. The guy that does the press, what they got to do that on camera is enough that he wears that many hats. You don't need to do this too. They should have another interviewer to do these things, in my opinion. So he comes in and grabs the mic and gets the interview with Garrett, and she cuts the promo called the one step closer promo to winning the championship. So I think I would have gotten more out of that promo if the story of Santana Garrett had been the journey back to the championship. The promo was fine. But again, it's not like this had been her given goal up until like 3 or 4 weeks ago. And that was only because, as far as WoW was concerned, that her tag team partner's no longer there. She had to go home, take care of her son. So it would have gotten a little bit more impact, at least from me, if I felt like this had been the path that she was trying to take on, or the goal that she was trying to accomplish. As it is, it just felt like, and I will say this for the last 3-4 weeks of seeing her, it just felt like she was an obstacle. And that was it. If you get past Santana Garrett, then I'll give you a shot. Oh, well, the beast isn't here, so I'll just step in for it. Like, none of that felt like it was planned, certainly, or like this is something that she was supposed to have done. It's like a last-minute thing. You know? He just throws her in a match, and then she just volunteers for another one. The match she had with Penelope Pink, which I guess is completely ignored because that was supposed to be the, quote, road to the championship right there. They had one road to the championship match, and then it looked like it's completely abandoned a week later because she has to re-qualify. I shouldn't even thought about that. How many times has she had to do this already? She qualified as no one contender against Ozzy. Qualified again against Jones. Lost to Jones. Then qualified again against Santana Garrett. And then she has to wrestle another match again. Just put her in the damn thing. Just put her in it. So anyhow, yeah, that was the promo is fine. I just wish I'd have had more of a connection to it. But the only way that would have ever happened is because if she was on task for the championship to begin with. Her entire journey at this point just feels like happenstance. Like, okay, well, I got a match, and this is the Battle Royal, so I'm one step closer. Didn't feel special, and I don't know if special is what they were looking for. I don't know if special was even close to anybody's thought process, rather than let's just fill the time or fill the match with bodies that we can use in the Battle Royal. I certainly hope that the Battle Royal is worth the build. That's all I can say. I hope that the Battle Royal is worth the build. Because I could have just as easily said, just pick 12 people and stick them in this thing. This is our 12 top contenders and they're going in. End of story. But that's just one man's opinion. Next up, SIren the VooDoo Doll versus Tormenta with Miranda Mirage. Why is she with her? McLean referred to them as pure magic. So I was like, oh, God. Is this where we're going now? SIren and Mirage as tag team, possibly pure magic. And is trying to be sold as this is some sort of natural fit. What is the natural fit about a voodoo priestess and a stage show magician, and not a good one at that? What's the natural fit there? One pretends to have magic, the other one's supposed to actually have it. Look, that was about as loose knit a connection piece as I've ever heard. And why does everybody have to be part of some team or group or faction? She just got there. What is she managing SIren for? What is she accompanying it to her for in the first place? According to WoW, she left because she no longer wanted to be an assistant and took the natural role that any magician would do, became a professional wrestler, and then lost one match, and now she's become somebody's assistant. What? Why? I mean, seriously. It was the first thing I thought when I saw her walking. I was like, what? Why is she coming out with her? What about this works? And if you doubt anything about her being assistant, SIren literally gave her coat. She handed her coat to her assistant. Why does everybody have to be paired off? Hey. Anyhow, Tormenta comes out, and as noted, I am tired of Tormenta being referred to as the Mexican champion of some phantom organization with no belt or proof otherwise to back it up. I mean, it was nice the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth time that they mentioned it. But every time she comes out to the ring, I do not need to hear, and it's Mexican champion Tormenta. I mean, it's lost its value now. Move on. I mean, and that became the only reason that she even got a title shot the last time we saw her get one, I think. Well, she is the Mexican champion. Look, seriously, still? I mean, I thought you would have imagined a competitor for her to lose to by now. So anyhow, this is another match that I expected to be perfectly fine because of the participants involved. Fury and Garrett, I felt that way, and I felt the same way here. That is SIren, who I knew at one point is Nina Monet, and Tormenta, who has, a good pedigree about her as well. So, what would I expect to go wrong here? I mean, things could happen, but I wasn't really expecting anything to, be egregiously bad. Tormenta did a great, shotgun drop kick in the corner. I mean, that thing has some impact on it. The only things that I had a problem with during this match, the first one, the distraction spot. Tormenta looks like she's about, because after that shotgun drop kick, SIren goes out to the floor. Now, I don't know why exactly Tormenta's looking like she's ready to run and do some sort of dive, because SIren is nowhere near where she's looking at or where she's aiming for. So I was like, what? Are you expecting her just to walk in the path of your flying body? So that part, I was like, I definitely didn't get. I was like, what are you doing? And I hate questioning that, but it's clear as day. SIren is not in position for anything. What is she getting ready to run to the ropes to do? There's no target in sight. But then she turns as she's about to seemingly run, and then she just stops when she sees Miranda. Like, she's not doing anything. She's just on the floor. She just stops running. And Then Miranda, she gets up on the apron and is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was like, and performs a trick. I'm like, what? Why is this spot here? This is so terrible. It's this I cannot prove. Okay, this is another one of those. But I am assuming that Miranda should have already been up on the apron when she got ready to run so that she would have to stop. I mean, that would make more sense to me because it looked like she just almost forgot what she was doing. And I hope that I'm wrong there because I don't need another reason not to like Miranda Mirage. I have enough, including this spot. So she gets up on the apron and then suddenly gets like the no, the body motion thing. And then she pulls a red handkerchief out of her sleeve. That was it. That was the trick. I'm like, seriously? My nephew could do that. I could do that. So I was like, it's literally a cloth tucked into a skin tight sleeve and then yanked out. That was the trick. This is awful. Like, well, I mean, yes, this is just awful. I can see why she was an assistant and not the actual magician. Maybe if you dedicated yourself to your craft, Mirage, you would be the head magician, not the assistant. Instead of giving up and going to an entirely different field. WoW has taught you nothing about perseverance. I lost, so now I'm going to be a manager. Keep on working yourself down the ladder. When this fails, maybe she can go cleaning up the arenas. Well, anyhow, the match continues and it gets itself back on track now that they can interact with each other, SIren and Tormenta. What you need to know here is Tormenta won. That's pretty much it. The only reason I stopped is because the two spots that I said were somewhat a problem for me. That one I just mentioned. The second is the actual dive spot. And the dive spot here, not that Tormenta couldn't clear the ropes or, anything like that. It is because of the inordinate amount of time that SIren and Miranda had to stand there so they can set this thing up for a clear and obvious run. I mean, the dive looked great. But after a while, you think that, you know what, maybe we need to get out of the way. I'm trying not to cuss. Yeah, maybe we need to move out of here because she being Tormenta. When SIren and Mirage walk towards the middle of the ring on the outside on the floor and they're standing holding each other, Tormenta literally stands up and starts stomping her feet, looking at them, and then runs to the other side of the rope, then runs back through, and then does the flip dive. Like I said, the dive itself looked great, but it makes SIren and Miranda look like complete morons for not moving out of the way. There is no way on earth that they did not, and would not know that she was not about to run and jump out of the ring on them. None. There's no way possible. Unless their peripheral vision is completely deactivated, they have no ability to hear the stomping of the mat or the crowd that's being risen up from Tormenta signaling that she's going to run and jump. I mean, I wanted to like the match itself. I mean, it was a great little spot. I just wish it had been faster and more natural and not like, hey, do you want me to do it? You want me to run out here and jump on these like that? Okay, so that happens. The the end of the match is Tormenta comes down on side with the double knees. I forget what she calls it, the Meteor. So I always love the Meteor from her, because when you really want to convince somebody about whether or not, pro wrestling is something that's easy to be done, that is one of the spots. That's one of my go-tos there. You sit down on the floor and trust somebody to bring their body on you. I was like, I don't care what you think about it. You sit down waiting for somebody of equal size or bigger to come flying out with their knees towards your chest, neck, or head, trusting that they are going to get it done without injuring you. Anyhow. So, yeah, all of that to say, I love the move. I love her finish. And she wins and gets up and gets on the apron and soaks in the applause and all that good stuff. It was a fun match if you could subtract or cut out those two things. If you cut out the distraction spot, and if you could cut out the dive, it is pretty, it's pretty good beyond that. The next segment is Fab Four backstage. Penelope Pink cutting a promo on being upset to having to qualify. I wanted to applaud her for that. If I weren't in that, at work, I probably would have. But I wanted to applaud her for that. I was like, thank goodness somebody said something, because she shouldn't have to qualify. It's just ridiculous and stupid. So she says it good as it should be. Whether that be in storyline or real world, either way it works, she should say something about it. Everybody's talking about one title shots here. And this is kind of a finger pointing session, or at least it becomes that. Miami Sweet, Penelope Pink talking about going into the Battle Royal to qualify, which she shouldn't have to do. Pink also getting, not Pink, sorry, Swag also getting an opportunity there, and Lindsay and Lori pipe up, and they're like, well, we want our tag shots too. And one of them says something to the effect of, they wouldn't have lost if Holly hadn't hit her in the head. There's Lori. And then, of course, Sweat. Now, this goes back into that Trojan horse thing. I guess we're foreshadowing this already. So this is where Swag retorts like, your sister said you was going to screw up anyway. And then she's like, no, I didn't say that. I was like, are these children? Is it that easy? She said that about you. You did? They're sisters. If it was just tag partners, or they said Pink said that about y'all, that you was weighing the team down to begin with or something, or she said it other way, that I can really probably buy. That, let's just say if you reverse the situation, said Miami was saying, they said that Penelope Pink was holding, weighing the team down to begin with. And that y'all have been carrying the Fabulous for propping them up with 4 different tag team title runs. How many times were you champion, Pink? Or something like that. That would feel like a natural progression. I don't know if I buy that the sister would buy this stranger's word immediately over her own sisters. If they had established that there was jealousy between the two or something like that, maybe. But it's almost like she had to immediately defend herself, and that the other sister immediately accepted this is true, when this girl has been in the group for 2 weeks? Now, granted, HollySwag was, all parties here, this material aside, all parties here did good at what they were doing. It's the context of it that I had a problem with. So I say that to say that Swag sounded great. She sounded convincing. This is easily her better persona because I think she's more identified with it. She's more comfortable with it. She's been Hollywood, Haley J everywhere. This is what she does. So, even at work, I'll tell people, no, this is closer to her actual given look that she's created for herself out on the indies. So other than the name, I think that you have in the case of Hollywood and WoW, or as close to Hollywood as she can be. So she's very convincing. Sounds very convinced in her words, as all of them do. Like I said, I just don't buy that the sisters would have immediately questioned each other like, what? What? You said that? It just seems ridiculous. But the finger point begins, and then Lana settles everybody down, and she says she has a plan. I don't know where this is going. The obvious and clear setup is that this is the old Trojan horse thing, but again, why so soon? It is so soon. To have her, we just did that to set y'all up, and I pretended I was your friend and this, that, and the other. I was like, at what point would this have ever been thought of to begin with? I thought they was in total servitude at one point in time. And if this was their plan, couldn't have Jesse Jones have saved her 10 grand? I mean, if they had a plan, it would have probably had to come up somewhere around then. Like, I paid for both of y'all. Could she have saved that money if they had come up with this plan on their own? That'll show them. We'll pay them this $10,000 and then cause problems. Because I'm sure, if they break up the group, I'll be like completely shocked. Anyhow, so that's how that segment ends. I wrote, is this set up for more faction fallout? Because it seems like everybody that's in the faction has to have at least one person in there that's just more of a loudmouth than they need to be. Gianni, Candy Crush, HollySwag. They're all fulfilling a similar role at this point. Only thing is that Swag has airtime. And we haven't seen the progression of the other two. But theoretically, they are in the starting position of doing the same thing. We'll say that. The next segment. Gigi Gianni coming out with her tag team partner BK Rhythm, taking on HollySwag with her new manager Lana Star. This is a heel versus heel match. Whereas I don't really have a problem with the heel versus heel match in theory, I wrote this is too soon. This is too soon. For the alliance, it's too soon. Gianni and BK Rhythm have largely been on the losing end of the stick in the tag team division. So they haven't really developed any sort of cachet to them as a team. They're working on it because their fortunes have turned around recently, but they haven't really built that up. I think that's fair to say just about them right now. Singularly, they probably have not done much better. Again, working on it. Maybe that'll turn around. Joining the alliance turned their fortunes, or at least began the start of it. But what I didn't get is like, when you pairing these two factions off against each other, you know the Fabulous Four is going to win it because they're the darlings of this promotion or this show. I could see if this had been months down the line and the alliance had did some things that gave them credible, convincing wins and important ones at that, then this match would have had something. I mean, it was a good match, but I mean, it would have had something. But now we've cross-pollinated the Fabulous Four and the Lions already. Can they get it back after letting people forget? Sure. But I'm just saying, I didn't get why this match had to take place. It feels very close to me, like another case of booking yourself into a corner. It's not fully that because there's no angle involved. But it makes me feel like you're putting it in a situation for two people who should need some wins right now. Even if, yes, technically it does not hurt the alliance as a whole, or I guess the Brat Pack as a team, because they're not wrestling as a team in this. But they need to be perceived as winners. If they go back to the periodic loss like that, they need to be winning more than they're losing. That's the bottom line. They need to win more than they lose. They go back to the way that they were, your perception of them will not change. And this, in my opinion, did not do a lot to change the perception of Gianni and Rhythm. Because they walking into this, they had to be on the losing end of it. There was, again, no doubt in my mind. They had to be on the losing end of this because HollySwag is in the bigger program. Which, again, makes me feel like, can't you find somebody else to be in there with her that she can go ahead and beat and not damage the alliance? They haven't done enough. They need to be built towards something. And this is also the reason why I wasn't high on the fact that they put them in a faction to begin with. I'm glad they all enjoy being in it. But I wasn't high on the fact that they had to create a faction with two other ones already basically monopolizing the top spots. The Fab Four, because it's probably I already said that it was a great win for Jesse Jones and Big Rig up until they decide to give the Miami Sweet Heat their fifth run. And I fully believe that that's probably going to happen. So they'll be monopolizing the tag spots again. Penelope Pink is pretty much, and I will use the line that I guess on the Instagram, Del Rey's line. I'll use hers. I don't know if it was a compliment or an insult. Honestly, it works either way. Penelope Pink is perpetually the number one contender. A permanent number one contender. And she's not wrong. She is not wrong. If there ever was a thing as being a permanent number one contender, Penelope Pink would be it. I use the phrase that she fails upward in that company. Like she can lose, but then she'll just wind back up in the main event somehow. But this works, it's perfect. Like I said, that could go either way. It could be a compliment, it could be an insult. But in that position, she's always going to be in a top spot in the main event, or floating thereabout. That kind of washes out other groups. Unless you're top tier and you just get a fantasy division built around you. And that's pretty much what it is. Let's slam some more people together to challenge for these belts. Anyway, I haven't even gotten to them yet. So I put down too soon, as I just went off ranting about. McLean hints at Swag again being the Trojan horse. I wrote down foreshadowing. Question mark, question mark. I do wish that some of this played out more with the actual participants rather than that. I mean, I understand, and in this case, they are the lyrics to the music, so to speak. But I would like to see something else that helps support the case of maybe she's doing this, opposed to just the I missed it with the Rock thing. Which again, I'm not even sure if that whole plan, if it is a Trojan horse deal, has been thought out. But we'll get past that. So Gigi, Gianni, and Baby Cake's Rhythm come out the ringside. And then they wait for their opponents. Lana Star bringing out her newest protege, HollySwag. Another case of not having a doubt who is going to win, although the match in and of itself I felt could be interesting. Wish it had not happened now, but we will accept that for what it is. Gianni, much like normal, looks great. Swag looks more in her element. I mean, since she's had the edge kind of put on her, also the change of look, much like I said about her mom, a lot less cartoony. Coming out with the denim and all that, stuff, the trucker hat. She doesn't look like she's playing the part of being a wrestler anymore. She looks like what she generally looks like any other time I see her. She looks like a wrestler. Before, I had said, and I made clear to separate the two. I love Amazing Maria, love Holly Hood, hated Big Rig Betty, hated HollySwag. That opinion may be changing. Because again, she now looks closer to what she was, behaves like she did in Ohio Valley Wrestling and years gone by, and other promotions, by the way. And, it just seems like this fits her more. She doesn't look like she's the scrawny one in the ring anymore. Being next to her mom always made her the smallest person in the ring by and large, and she had to be the one to bump and sell and all that stuff like that. You see the match with her with Gianni, it looks comparative in height. She's she's a little smaller than Gianni is, but there is not such a vast difference. Gianni's a little curvier than she is. Let's put it that way. So it's not such a vast difference that you would look like she was outmatched, is what I'm saying. Now it looks to be competitive in some regard. They had their spot where where the Alliance version of the heels have their little cheat moment where when Swag is taught into the turnbuckle, she does the flare flip over the top, catches Gianni, but before she's able to do anything, BK Rhythm comes and yanks her foot out from underneath her. The style of match that both of them are working does not change because they're in there with each other, and that was appreciative. The match, this is kind of like the Tormenta SIren match. Well, I like the parties involved. I like the match overall, but there's one thing in it that I didn't particularly care for, and here that was the finish. Now, the other thing that I guess is of note within the course of the match is the show of power by Gianni, which looked like it could have been nasty there for a moment. Glad it was not, but there was a moment there where it looked like it got, like, I don't know. She didn't get that rotation in. She might have brought it down the hard way. There is a point, the point that I'm talking about is the power slam catch. Gianni hoists Swag up to the top rope. Swag is able to get herself free. She tries to do a top rope maneuver, and when she does that, this after she gives Gianni a kick to get her away, Swag comes off with a high cross body. And oh man, the way she got it down, I mean it could have been nasty. Because it looked like it crinked her neck just a little bit there. So yeah, I'm glad that all parties involved, HollySwag particularly in this instance, came out okay, and there seemingly was no problem because she got back up and started doing the thing. So I don't even know if the crowd had anybody that they were rooting for in this. They just was kind of watching the match and watching the moves, which is generally speaking why I'm like, they don't have a lot to root for when they do things like this. What I did not like, here's the finish. Both ladies plant each other face first into the mat, so they're all laying down. BK Rhythm decides that I'm going to help my friend by sliding this chain right in the middle of her and her opponent, opposed to sliding it towards her body if I were going to do that at all. Never mind the fact that this is happening directly in front of the referee. Like, it's not like he's knocked out or distracted or anything like that. He is literally standing there watching this happen. So I don't know what exactly was supposed to occur when Rhythm takes this, and I don't even know if it's like a gold necklace rather than a steel chain. I don't know if that was just my eyes or something. I was like, is that a necklace that she just sitting there? But I don't know. So, like I said, the ref is watching this right in front of him. Gianni and Swag both struggle over it. The ref gets in the middle, grabs it, yanks it from them. I was like, why was this in there in the first place? I mean, seriously. Why? But he takes it from him, then gives it back, apparently, to BK Rhythm. I was like, why would you give it back to her? You find a foreign object, don't you either keep it or put it to the side or let them give it back to the perpetrator? Here's your knife back, sir. I know you was about to stab that guy, but don't do it again. So while Gianni is going over there for some unknown reason, I know the reason, that she's sitting up there talking to the ref with his back turned, Lana passes the sock of rocks. Holly nails her in the back of the head, giving Gianni a concussion, which McLean is perfectly fine with because, just whack these people in the head with a sack of rocks. Gianni goes down. She's pinned 1, 2, 3. Swag advances to the Battle Royal. She cuts a promo afterwards. Well, no, let me set that up right. Lana comes in and cuts a promo. And essentially is putting over HollySwag. But Holly makes some corrections. And the essential correction is, now I don't know if this is what she's going forward in the show, but she yanks the mic from McLean. She yanks the mic from Lana Starr and basically corrects her in that she's Holly Hood. I was like, okay, well. Now, again, I don't know if that's where she is going with this, from now on, if she's changing the name officially. But, Holly Hood. I was like, all right, well, that's good. Like I said, she seems to be that and everything but the name, unless this is the official changing of the name. I don't know what Lana's reaction should have been here, because I don't know what direction they're trying to go. Is she just being disrespectful, like yanking the mic out of her hand and all that stuff like that? Whereas 2 weeks ago, she was completely appreciative. Then before that, it was absolutely subservient. Now she's full of herself. So that's where they are with Swag. She's adopted or at least brought up. If nothing else, we know she's brought up the name to tell people what her persona is. And I absolutely appreciate it. It's like I said, people can't get over there without getting moments like these, be able to express who they are. It can't just be crammed into some vignette and never to be seen again. They actually have to speak every once in a while in an uncut promo, unless the promo is just terrible. So there we go. Hollywood is in WoW. The next segment, following the, I guess, rechristening of the new Hollywood or HollySwag changing their name, or I guess official or whatever the case may be. Following that, we got Top Tier. We got a Top Tier segment. The team comes out to the ring holding on to the precious vanity belts. And they come and, well, not they, but Coach, because of promo. This is good and bad. The good here is that at least they have some segment of some description to do some level of character building. Get the personas something to grow from. The downside is I don't know if this particular promo would do it because it's not giving much that you haven't heard or introduced in a new angle or a problem or some situation to further who they are. It does put the team over. You have to give that. I mean, I give a hard time about them being the greatest team in the world, but I have to give credit that the promo does put the team over, but it's not going anywhere in particular. That's ultimately what it feels like with me. It's just another Coach promo. I have these tips. Let me read them off to you. Coach tip number 308 or whatever. There's never any sort of order to it. It's just random numbers that's read off for whatever reasons. And she reads them off. And, of course, the only real issue that Top Tier seems to have, because they pretty much beat everybody else clean, so there's no angle to build from. There's no rivalry to get to. There's no feud to address. The only problem that they seem to have seems to be internally. Because we find Candy Crush looking like she's just morphing into an obnoxious asshole and wants to grab the microphone every chance she gets. But I will say that that's not a situation unique onto her, because we just saw HollySwag or Hollywood grab the microphone and start talking and being obnoxious. We saw Gigi Gianni do that like a week ago, grab the microphone from her leader, I guess, if you want to call it that, or manager, and then just start talking and being obnoxious. So none of it seems unique upon to that person. It just seems like a thing that is going across all top factions right now. Now, why they're doing that, I don't know. Why they all doing it at the same time, I don't know. But that's what's happening. So Crush tries to yell into the mic. Coach yanks it back, blows a whistle, and they just immediately go into their training montage. And at the end of this, it is not a promo that is designed to go anywhere. This is very vague. It's a vague promo, and it's only for Top Tier. And let's just call it for what it is. It's there to spill out the time of the show. I'm pretty sure that we need to fill this 2 or 3 minutes, so here you go. Go out there and do that. And that's what they did, and that's what we got. Coach does reference Diamante and the Defenders, but like I said, why? They beat them clean. There's nowhere to go from there. No feud to carry on, so That's it. I wish I could say there was something more important that happened behind that, but it's not. Next segment, Lana Star and HollySwag. This is after the match, obviously, in the locker room, and they're talking, just shooting the breeze. Penelope Pink comes in, and she's, almost kind of annoyed that Lana's like, hey, yo, just sitting there talking. And Pink is like, hey, I got a main event here. Come on. And, of course, Lana gets up. Holly decides to get up, but then Pink more or less shuts it down. She's like, no, not you. And sits her back down on the couch as Lana and Penelope go out. When they walk out, Swag pretty much makes herself at home. She's like, you ain't got to tell me twice. And then she just grabs the bottle and starts drinking straight from the bottle because she's Hollywood now, you see, opposed to HollySwag, I guess. She got to show that she does not have quite the refined nature of her colleagues. Whereas they drink out of glasses, she takes it straight to the head. So it's more faction infighting teased here, or problems within the faction. Is it me or, and I saw it earlier. I didn't bring it up then, but I'll say it now. Is it me or is that refrigerator? It look like they got a mini fridge like right in the corner of the air quotes locker room. You can't see me doing the fingers thing, so I have to say it. But does it look like that thing is like facing the couch? It's a small deal. It's not going to hurt the segment, either one of them. And it's not a big enough thing to complain about. It's just, I had a sudden look. I was like, it looks like that handle is aimed right at the couch. No one would be able to get this open. But, like I said, that's just me and something that I noticed. Not a big issue, so I'm not going to go too far into that. Next segment is a promo for next week, Genesis versus Ashley Blaze. I wonder who's going to win that. And then we go to the main event. This is the segment for the top. Penelope Pink coming out with her manager, Lana Star, and Roxxy Fierce coming out. The first thing I wrote is, where's Roxy's sister? Why do the baby faces have this train of thought of complete idiocy in that I know I'm your friend, family, and or partner, but you go out there and do it by yourself against this known cheater and hope for the best. See you later. It didn't make any sense to me that Foxy would not be there to support her sister in her endeavors, much less the way that the commentators put it, like she didn't even show up to the building. They're like, hey, yeah, she's at home right now watching this. She didn't come to the show with her sister on a night that she has a qualifying match against someone who has been noted for cheating for the last 3 years. You deserve the loss that you get. So anyhow, I will say this much for it. There is something that Roxy can do given time. I think that she can grow into this. She has a good look. I cannot tell how good or bad she is overall because I don't know how much time and effort she had to practice this match. And I'm sure Penelope Pink helped prop her up some just because of the experience level. Not saying all, but I'm sure she got her through this to some degree. I'm almost 99% certain that that's what happened. And it was little things that happened in here that helped the match. One of which was a complete departure. Well, I shouldn't say departure. It was an illustration of the difference something small could make. And we'll get to that. Roxy does look like she has star potential just in her look, her stature. She looks strong. I don't know whether that will ever play into anything that she's ever going to do on WoW. I certainly hope that there's a given level of commitment that comes here. One of the and level of commitment come from her that she can do beyond WoW is what I mean. Because If anything's going to help her, it'll probably be that. One of the narratives that was told within the main event is that Roxy is a powerhouse. And she did get a chance to utilize that and show that off in certain portions of the match. I almost wish that they had a few other spots that they could have thrown in there to really get the point across of how strong she is, or strong she is in this particular equation between her and Pink. But they did get some in there, so I was happy with that. So it wasn't just a case of them saying it. She actually illustrated it. I like to say the side headlock move that Pink got, and I like that the camera got a close-up on it to show that quick little jab in the face that Penelope Pink did. She unlocks her hands for a second, smacks her own hand, which smacks the smacked hand into the face of Roxy. So that was cool. But then Roxy takes the old strength approach and just kind of hurls Pink across the ring, which, again, good, and it shows that she has something. I wish that there had been a couple of other things that were done in there that would really help put her over. But I think Pink did a fantastic job. Roxy did a good job. The arm drag that she did in there looked great. It was a simple move, but it looked really good. It didn't look like Pink was just, here's my arm, throw me. It looked like Roxy saw her coming, and that was the defensive move that she came up with. So I was like, maybe it's a case that she needs to be in the ring with someone who can help her out or get her going, or, show her for being a little bit more polished than she might actually be. And that was one of the points. So bravo to both of them for that. There are points where Roxy seems to potentially waste some time, but I also know that she's trying to work the crowd and get the fans into it and all that good stuff. So I'm not going to, overly falter for that. This may have been one of the better matches on the show. Just because even though there was never a doubt to me, never a doubt, who was going to win this, it did not cross my mind that somehow Roxy Fierce was going to pull one out of the blue and win. That never crossed my mind. But it did give a little bit of insight into her as a singles wrestler. Now, I still think it was ridiculous that she came out here by herself without a sister to back her up, particularly when there's, going against someone like Penelope Pink, and you got Lana Star on the outside, because we all know where it's going to go. Is not a big secret. It is going to happen. That somewhere, somehow, Lana's going to get involved, whether that be massively involved or not. And speaking of that, is what she did like midway through the match. Once the photo op, album cover, whatever version of theirs that they do, which is why I say I wish that only one team did it, so it can stick out for that particular group. Pink gets Roxy on the ropes, and she starts sitting on her to choke her out. Ref gets her off, and she walks back, and she starts talking with the ref like, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. And as her back's turned, then Lana grabs both of the wrists of Roxy and starts dragging her down on the ropes. I do like that Lana gets involved. I wish that she had gotten her hands behind the neck of Roxy and kind of pulled her down throat first, or at least the appearance of throat first, rather than the wrists. The wrists seemed like it would just be an easier thing to get away from, rather than the choke with the neck. So just for efficiency's sake, I would have preferred that. The small thing that I was talking about earlier that illustrates the difference between two executions was Roxy and the back rake. When we saw Roxy take a back rake from Katarina Jinx previously, the difference was very minor, but it was a big difference nonetheless. That difference was when Jinx did it, she started from the top and worked down. She started from the clothes and worked down to the skin, which arguably her clothes would protect her from being raked across her flesh. Pink did it the other way around. Pink started at the flesh and then worked up. Now, of course, she didn't dig her nails into her skin. And she actually, if you really look at it, she started like at the waist where her clothes are and then worked up from there. But the concept of it is that you could buy that she dug her skin, or dug her nails into the skin of Roxy Fierce and then cause that pain. It looked like it would be more believable in this direction rather than the other way around. So when she got her back raked and she goes writhing down in pain, it did not come across to me like she's overacting and there's no way that this could have happened. Oh, what are you selling for? Because there's no way that that would have worked. In this particular case, it's like, no, that could work. And then we got some more of the showcase of the power. Roxy catches a knee that Pink comes in, and then she basically hoists her up and carries her to the corner, which again is a good show of strength. If there was a case of somebody helping to try to elevate in a WoW environment, this may be the closest that I've seen. Quite possibly. It quite possibly could be the closest version of that. Because I don't know how many matches Roxy had. What does she got? Like 5 matches underneath her belt at this point? Maybe. So getting the opportunity to be able to do big, powerful things, look relatively competitive, and things in that vein certainly do help her. Now, I did not think that she should be overly competitive because she ain't there yet. But the idea that she could utilize some power, toss her around, pick her up, carry her to the corner, shoot her across the ring, do a superplex, all of those things seem very plausible for the times that they were taking place in the ring, and the superplex looked great. It looked great. So I definitely want to give that credit as well. And she looked like she was trying to pull herself together to score that win. I know that I'm not the biggest cheerleader for the Fierce sisters in most cases, but here I have to say again, I thought that Fierce Roxy in this case did a good job. She came out even when they were getting back up to their feet after the superplex and then going to the corners, pulling themselves up, and then Roxy's trying to fire herself up, trying to get herself going so she can fight back and maybe score the win. They get up, the first thing she does, charge out, gives Pink a shoulder block. And then she starts going to town on her. Just shoulder block, and then, getting the fans a big clothesline. The clothesline looked good. So, I don't know who I want to credit for this, quite honestly. I may have to stick with what I said before. It might be a case of she's in there with somebody that can help construct the match to where it looks good for both parties. I stand by that I did not want, nor do I think that it should be competitive, but the places where she got the action in, I'm like, okay, I can buy that. The belly-to-belly suplex that she did, stopping Pink. Lana Starr on the outside looking worried. I was surprised that she didn't jump in at that particular point where the belly-to-belly came in, because that looked like that could have been a finish, at least for Fierce. Could have. But getting towards the end, here's where we got the finish of the match, and it worked a little bit better for me. She did do a gourd buster. Fierce did. And she goes for the pin. This is where I was a little bit questionable because I didn't see a reason that Roxy should get up believing that she won. Who knows what happened in this particular instance because there was no 3 count. There was no reason for her to get up to think that she won. Everything was going fine up until this point. Now, if you go back and you look at it, she catches the gourd buster. It looks great. Pink goes down. She's by the ropes. Her hand is technically underneath it, so the ref shouldn't have counted anyway, but we'll let that slide. So she goes for the cover. Roxy goes for the cover. Lana comes over. She grabs the boot of Penelope Pink and puts it on the bottom rope. Now, it might have been a little bit of a timing issue there because she gets it, but it's almost like she forgot to let her hand off of her foot because she thought about it last minute, like she's like, oops, yeah, and she let it go. It's like, no, I didn't have anything to do with that. So it was a minor flub up there. You know, it might have been she forgot, might have had a little mental lapse there, might have just been timing, who knows. But I'm not going to get on that. I think the more egregious thing there was the getting up and like, hey, I won. Yeah, I heard all 3 counts. And she didn't, but we'll go with that. Now, if there's any adjustment that should have been made here, the way that spot used to work, it is a flare spot, by the way, or at least he was most noted for it that I can recall. But how it should have worked, it should have been gourd buster. Pink goes towards the ropes. She's close enough to where Lana gets the foot. Referee gets over there, counts as Roxy covers her. 1, 2, 3. Lana gets the foot up before the 3 count and puts it on the ropes. He counts 3. She gets up and says, I won. He now notices it and like, oh my gosh, I made a mistake, and then waves it off. It doesn't have the same impact when he waves it off after 2 counts. She gets up just believing that she won for some reason. As an additional note, I will say that I am an advocate for, recycled spots sounds like a bad way to put it, but that's basically what it is, a recycled spot. Especially when it's things that we haven't seen lately in a long time. It comes back around and it becomes new again. Everybody hasn't seen that. And it was a good way to help try to make Roxy look bigger, stronger, more accomplished than what her years, and I can't even say years, what her experience level might dictate. Pink and Star, I think it may be the best combination that's in the WoW currently. I know I said something to that effect before, like it's the highest compliment that I can give them, and that very rarely do you see the managerial / wrestler combination that we did back in the days. And sometimes it was a case of you needed to give a manager to somebody because they just could not talk, right? And then you had other cases where the wrestler could talk, but the manager was there as a compliment. You could point at Bobby Heenan and Mr. Perfect. It wasn't that Kurt Hennig couldn't talk. It wasn't that Mr. Perfect was incapable of it. Bobby Heenan was a great compliment to that. Bobby Heenan and Nick Bockwinkel. Great compliment to each other. Bockwinkel was a great talker. Heenan was a great talker. Collectively, they was able to deliver the goods. Pink, and I'm not saying that they're at that level yet, but Pink and Star are like a hand and glove, at least at this point. And I wish that they did have more promo time or time to illustrate who they are and what their motivations are without it being some backstage segment, without them having to act. I mean, like promo time. You know what I mean? But anyway, back to the match. So Star has essentially saved Penelope Pink without having Pink look like, without having to look horrible. Because it wasn't, you can make the argument that she might have gotten out of it. I don't know. You know how it is with our former world champions or former champions, if you will. Or you might make the argument that she might have got it up on her own, or like I said, the hand was already underneath the ropes. So, I mean, there was an out for Penelope Pink regardless, if they really wanted to take advantage of it. In this case, it gave Lana something to do to add on to the match. So, Roxxy does the babyface thing. And I want to reiterate, the only real problem that I had with Roxxy in this instance is that she got up really with no just cause to assume that she won. You can see the ref. He does not count 3. So I don't know why she would have done it. Now, I'm sidetracking here again because it made me think of another Heenan Botwinkle moment. And I don't know if anybody there has the timing to do this. But it would be great if they did. One of the best finishes I've ever seen, and I've never seen anybody else duplicate it, is Bobby made a count with the ref so that the person that was covering thought that they heard 3. I'm going to try to describe it as best I can. Junkyard Dog, Nick Bockwinkel. Or matter of fact, let's just use, in this fantasy environment, let's use the wild participants. It would be a case of, let's say Roxy does the same thing that she just did. Gourd Buster, boom. She knocks Pink down. Pink is relatively close to the ropes, but she's out. Lana knows that she's in trouble. What do I do? The ref comes over there. Now, one of the elements that has to happen with this is that the babyface has to be pinning the heel faced away from the heel. Right? And almost like she can't see the ref do his thing either. So Roxy, in this case, the way she did it here is perfect. It would be perfect for that. But it would also require the ref not to be able to fully see Lana. So picture that the same thing happens without Lana getting the foot, but before the ref comes down, when he's like on his knees and getting ready to hit the mat for the count, she slaps the mat first. So you hear the 1. Then he hits an actual 1 count, and then she slaps the mat behind it, and it sounds like 3. Now you got Roxy. She gets up, I won. And ref can get, no, wait a minute. That wasn't me. She did that. What are you talking about? I heard him do it. Now, that's the finish that they did. It was Junkyard Dog and Bockwinkel. He hits the power slam, turns perfectly. Everybody was in perfect position. Bobby slaps the mat once. Ref hits it behind him for the 1 count. Bobby hits it again. All right, I did it. I'm the champion. Because he heard the 3. He audibly heard it. But he didn't hear it from the ref. That was the other thing. But like I said, I've never seen anybody good enough or had the timing enough or the positioning to ever do it again. I've only seen it happen once, and that's saying something. Because that thing was like, what, 19... Oh, my gosh. It had to have been in the early 80s when I was happening. It was before Dog went to WWF, before Bobby went to WWF. So, anyhow, that's just a little bit of wrestling history, I guess. So, anyhow, I didn't mean to get sidetracked talking about that. It just made me think about it. Roxy, when she discovers that she didn't win, she now looks at Lana like, she did that, you did this, because the referee points it out to her. Like, she showed me that the foot was on the ropes. And Lana's like, no, I didn't do anything. And Roxy doing, she's pantomiming, which is good because you need to do that so the audience understands what your emotion happens to be. You need to be able to illustrate your body language. And I thought that she did good with that. So now she gets Pink, and she's basically signaling to the audience that it's over, I'm about to finish it. Lana sees that. She gets up on the apron. That gets the ref's attention, which turns him away from what Penelope Pink is doing. She rakes the eyes. And then she turns around, hits her with Pretty in Pink for the pin. 1, 2, 3. She's done. This was an enjoyable match. Like I said, the downside was little things in it. Or just around it. Like I still maintain that Foxy probably should have been there or given some other reason not to be there other than I'm at home that day. I just didn't show back up. My sister can handle it. The irate spot was good. It's like these are the spots that Roxy had gone through already, but this was done more efficiently. Because it's not like she gave her the option to wander around and rough my eyes like we did the last time with Animal Instinct. She got her eyes raked and then she decided to just wander to the ref like, hey, check my eyes for me. When she was still in the middle of a match. Here, it was eye rake, I slide down, I immediately go for it, and I didn't going to give it a chance. While my manager's over there getting the ref's attention, and then, boom, off we go, we win the match. And so that was fine. It did fine. It was, if there was any push or any ideas given that Roxy might be able to pull off a singles run, it might be that. But I only would suggest that if she is actually getting better in the ring. And only Pink will really know that. If it were a case of, well, we had to practice the match for 5 days before we did it, then I would say no. But if she is getting it down, if she is doing, following what the lead person, because I'm pretty sure Pink either constructed or called that match in the ring, one or the other. If she's getting that down, if she is coming off competent, if the story is that she's going to be, power and she starts to work on moves that would illustrate that or spots that would illustrate that for her, then yeah, I can absolutely see it. She ain't ready for it yet, so this is the right outcome. Not ready yet, but I can see a future there. And I'm surprised to be saying that, quite honestly. I was so used to her sister, and I don't want to disparage the young lady, but I haven't seen anything that caught my attention with that yet. I mean, she's had some moments of uplifting in-ring work, if you want to call it that. But I haven't gotten the same feeling there that I got here. And we'll leave it at that. So that was the entirety of the show. It was a very, for me, predictable episode. Doesn't mean it was a bad episode, but it was a predictable episode. I did not have a doubt about who won what in any match given this entire show. And there are other moments that went around that just kind of, as you might have heard, rubbed me the wrong way. But that was largely because of just little silly things that took place in it. The SIren and Tormenta, like, even though I liked the match, and that seemed to be the theme of the night, like, even though I liked the match, there was this thing that happened in it. Gianni and Swag, even though I liked the match, there was this thing that happened in it. It was, it's been kind of those. But the overall thing, I expected Fury and Garrett to be good. I expected Tormenta and SIren to be good. I expected Gianni and Swag to be good. Roxy and Pink, I had my reservations about, but surprised me. And that may have been the touch right there, because I didn't walk in with some sort of high expectation, but it exceeded what the expectations I did have. It went past that. So bravo. I hope that they can maintain that, they being Roxy at some point, but time will tell. We will see. Now, we've gone through the episode. Thank you for tuning in with all of that. Normally, I would give you the press release for the upcoming episode. But by the time you hear this, you probably would have seen the upcoming episode, because I know it's going to take me some while to cut this together. However, now that I'm saying it out loud, for those of you who have not checked out the episode, or you're in an area that it doesn't air because I forget, there are people out there that have lost access to WoW. I know somebody put it up not too long ago. It's like it doesn't air in my area anymore. So for you, sir, I will read this so that you know how to construct your episode or what to look forward to. So here's the press release, the preview, or review for some of you. You've already watched it. This is Instinct for Victory. That is the next episode up. Season 3, episode 14. So here we go. The WoW Battle Royal for the WoW World Championship approaches as the superheroes continue to vie to qualify, including Genesis, who faces new superhero Ashley Blaze. Meanwhile, Xena Phoenix looks to continue her strong start in WoW against fellow newcomer Veronica Maroon. In team competition, Lil J Boogie, Tiki Chamorro, and Pep Riley have their eye on the Trios Championships as they challenge top tiers Coach Campanelli, Candy Crush, and Glory Glitter, knowing a win could give them a chance for a title match. And Big Rig Betty and Jesse Jones face their first challenge as WoW Tag Team Champions as they defend their titles against Animal Instinct, Goldie Collins, and Katarina Jinx. Now, I'm not going to read the meow. Well, I said it, but yeah, I don't know why they had that in there. It's stupid. All right, so yeah, there you go. It is another case of I have absolutely zero doubt about who's going to win what in these matches. Ashley Blaze has lost twice already. I do not perceive her as going over on Genesis, who's been there for a couple of years and made it clear that she wants to be a single star. So I expect that to happen. I don't know what hole they dug J Boogie out of for her to even show up. But I'm sure whoever it is that they slammed together to go for against top tier is going to win. The Animal Instinct shouldn't even be challenging for a championship. Didn't they just lose to the Fierce Sisters? So Big Rig and Jesse Jones, I have no doubt about that. Did I miss one? That sounds like I only did like 3. Did I say Phoenix and Varun? That might be the only one that has some sort of level of maybe not attached to it, because we got Phoenix and they seemingly are treating her well. She actually won her debut match, but so did Veronica. Speaking of Xena Phoenix, at the time when they had the whole Xena Phoenix against Scout Parker thing, I said they booked themselves into a corner. And unless the attack that Scout Parker did following that went somewhere, then it was worthless. I was like, it booked themselves into a corner and they gave her a loss that she didn't need. If they followed behind, I was like, all right, it might go somewhere and it might do something. But if this just is a after match beatdown and it's forgotten, then it was pointless. Well, we haven't seen anything come from it, so I'm going to just officially say it was pointless. And I will also say that this seems like another case of them booking themselves into a corner, because we got new phase Xena Phoenix who looks good and she shouldn't be suffering any losses. But then you got Veronica Maroon, and regardless of what I think about her as an in-ring worker, I've only seen one match, but regardless of what I think about her, she's also new. And we're putting on 2 new faces up against each other. Somebody has to lose. And if you're trying to get some mileage out of either one of them, I don't think now is the time for either one of them to be taking a loss. But I'm pretty sure that is too little, too late. So there we have it. That is the full-on review for All Eyes on the Goal episode of WoW. I hope the next time that they come up, something interesting happens rather than just this ongoing run of qualifying matches for the Wild Championship. I still have a hard time calling it a world title. But we will see. Time will tell whether something interesting happens in there or not. We'll have to look at it next week and see. Or next episode. I don't know when you're listening to this. So that being said, we are going to wrap this up. Thank you again for tuning in to the show. As always, I do appreciate it. And I appreciate the feedback. However I've been getting it. Whether that be on Instagram, whether that be straight through email, whether that be comments on the videos themselves. Thank you for all of that. The engagement keeps me going. I have to admit that. The engagement keeps me going. And so, until our next engagement, I will wrap it up by saying this, that this is Mr. Green saying that this is Mr. Green saying so long, and we'll see you on the next go-round. Check me out on WPNWrestling.com. This is Focus for Everything. The centerpiece is the nexus for all things videos, podcasts, articles, blogs, and more. It all exists right there. If you can't find it on YouTube or you can't find it on your favorite podcast platform, you can always go there. So thank you again. Appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for the support. And take care, everybody. We'll catch you on the next go-round.
Thank you for listening to the WPN's Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling. If you have questions or comments, please contact us via our Facebook or our YouTube channel at the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. If you're new to the WPN, feel free to subscribe to our channel and like our page. We appreciate your support. Thank you again for listening.